So we will be discussing about active optical components used and micro electromechanical system used in this process. So first we look into active optical components. So active optical components require some sort of external energy to perform their functions, and they are widely used as a passive device which offers a greater application flexibility. So active components, what we normally consider, requires some type of external energy for operation. So these devices includes variable optical attenuators, tunable optical filters, dynamic gain equalizers, optical add and drop multiplexers, polarization controllers, and dispersion compensators. So these are the optical components which are the active optical components used in optical communication system. So many of these active optical components are based on microelectrical and mechanical systems or micro electromechanical system technologies. So first we will look into MEMS technology. So MEMS is the acronym for micro electromechanical systems, and these are miniature devices or microscopic devices or miniature small devices that can combine mechanical, electrical and optical components, which can provide sensing and actuation functions. So this is a MEMS technology used, which is a miniature device that can combine the mechanical, electrical and optical components. And these MEMS devices are fabricated using IC, that is compatible batch processing technique, and it ranges in the size from micrometers to millimeters. So these are fabricated using IC technologies. So the control or actuation of a MEMS device is done through an electrical, thermal or magnetic means such as micro gears or movable levers, shutters or mirrors. So this is the control or actuation of a MEMS technology or MEMS device used. So MEMS technologies are also finding its application in light wave systems for variable optical attenuators, tunable optical filters, tunable lasers, optical add and drop multiplexers, optical performance monitors, dynamic gain equalizers, optical switches, and other optical components. So these are various devices which are making use of this micro electromechanical system technology or MEMS technologies. So just look into the simple example of MEMS actuation method. So in a MEMS actuation process, we see that at the top of the device, there is a thin suspended polysilicon material. You see here. So it has got a thin polysilicon beam. It has a typical width, length, and thickness of a dimension of length 80 micrometers, width 10 micrometer, and thickness of zero point 0.5 micrometers. And at the bottom, there is a silicon ground plane which is covered by an insulating material. So at the top, we have the suspended beam, and at the bottom, we have the silicon plane which is covered by an insulating material. And there is a gap of zero point 0.6 micrometer between a beam and the insulator. When a voltage is applied between the silicon ground plane and the polysilicon beam, the electric force pulls the beam down so that it can make a contact with the lower structure. So we require a small external voltage. Here we consider it as uh, Vt or Vth. So we consider a voltage which can be applied between a silicon ground plane and a polysilicon beam. The electric force pulls the beam down so that it makes a contact with the lower structure. So here we see that at the top we have a suspended polysilicon beam, and at the bottom we see that there is a silicon ground plane, and in between we have a dielectric insulator. And in this case we see that the voltage applied is zero, means there is no voltage applied. So the polysilicon beam is not attracted or not moved towards a silicon ground plane. Now I consider that the voltage is greater than zero. I am applying some voltage at this suspended polysilicon beam and a silicon ground plane, so that whenever I apply the voltage, the suspended polysilicon beam moves towards the silicon ground plane, or this attracts this suspended polysilicon beam due to the external energy applied. So this represents a simple example of a MEMS actuation method. So the top shows the off position and the bottom shows the on position. So this is the off state and this is the on state. So here is without applying external voltage, here applying external voltage. Then we have the active optical components such as variable optical attenuator. So this is one of the example what we consider as an active optical component. So in this case, all the wavelength channels which exit an optical amplifier need to have the same gain level. So in order to retain the same gain level, we use the variable optical attenuator. So certain channels may need to be blanked out to perform network monitoring. Span balancing may be needed to ensure that all the signal strengths at the user location are the same. So we require the signals, or we require a channel with the signal where the gain is same, and the signal attenuation may be needed at the receiver to prevent a photodetector saturation, so that is using the attenuator. So the variable optical attenuator, in short we consider it as VOA, offers such a dynamic signal level control. So it is used to control the attenuation in the optical component. So this device attenuates the optical power by various means to control the signal levels precisely without disturbing other properties of a light signal. That means they should be polarization independent, attenuate light independent of the wavelength, and have a low insertion loss. The control methods include mechanical, thermo-optic, microelectromechanical system, or electro-optic techniques. So these are the controlling methods used in the optical communication system. So when wavelengths are added, or the wavelengths are dropped, or they are routed in a wavelength division multiplexing system, a variable optical attenuator can manage the optical power fluctuations of this. So any variation or any power fluctuation can be managed by this variable optical attenuator, and simultaneously propagating wavelength signals. So this is the functioning of the VOA. Then we have a tunable optical filters. This is one of the optical component what we are going to use. So these are the key components for dense wavelength division multiplexing optical networks. Two key technologies to make a tunable filter are MEMS based and Bragg grating based devices. Then MEMS actuated filters have the advantageous characteristics of a wide tuning range and design flexibility. One such filter is a tunable variation on the classical structure that has been used widely for interferometer applications. So we have seen this under MZ interferometer, Mach-Zehnder interferometer, wherein three different devices are used. The MEMS-based device consists of two sets of epitaxially grown semiconductor layers that form a single Fabry-Perot cavity. So this is what we have considered in the previous concept. So the same thing is used here, the MEMS technology or MEMS-based device. The device operation is based on allowing one of the two mirrors to be moved precisely by an actuator. So it consists of two different mirrors or two mirrors, and which has to allow one of the mirrors to move by an actuator. Then this enables a change in the distance. So whenever the actuator is moved, there is a change in the distance between the two cavity mirrors, thereby resulting in the selection of different wavelengths which are to be filtered. Fiber Bragg gratings are wavelength selective reflective filters with steep spectral profiles as shown in these two figures. You see that tunable optical filters based on fiber Bragg gratings involve a stretching and relaxation process of the spacing in the fiber grating. So whenever there is a requirement of tuning a particular wavelength, we are going to use this, which involves a stretching and relaxation process. That is, in the periodic variation in the refractive index along the core, since the glass is slightly stretchable medium, and the optical fiber what we are using can be stretched with the grating inside it. The spacing of the index perturbation, that is the changes, and the refractive index will change. So this is a diagrammatic representation of tunable optical filter. So we see that this is the optical input frequencies, and these signals are passed through a tunable optical filter. So a selected optical output frequency is obtained here. So here we have the frequencies, and once it is fed to this tunable optical filter, selected optical frequency we can see. So it will select the required optical output frequency. So this is the filter transfer function. So based on this filter transfer function, we are going to receive a signal of a particular frequency as the output of a tunable optical filter. So if this filter transfer function is going to be different, then the output which is obtained will be a selected optical frequency which is dependent on this transfer function. So here we see that the wavelength and the reflectivity. So this is how the signal is going to be selected. So the frequency of the signal is going to be selected depending on the transfer function of a tunable optical filter. This process induces a change in the Bragg wavelength, thereby changing the center wavelength of the filter. So dynamic gain equalizers, DGE. A dynamic gain equalizer is used to reduce the attenuation of the individual wavelengths within a spectral band. These devices also are called as dynamic channel equalizers, DCE, or dynamic spectral equalizers. The function of a DGE is equivalent to filtering out the individual wavelengths and equalizing them on a channel by channel basis. So the functioning of DGE, that is dynamic gain equalizer, is to reduce the attenuation of the individual wavelength within a particular spectral band or spectral width. Their applications are nothing but flattening the nonlinear gain profile of an optical amplifier such as RBM doped fiber amplifier or the Raman amplifier. So the gain profile, if it is nonlinear, then they are flattened by using this EDFA. Then compensation for variation in the transmission losses on individual channels across a given spectral band within a link and attenuating, adding or dropping a selective wavelength. Figure shows the DG equalizes the gain profile of a EDFA, that is the amplifier. So this is the dynamic gain equalizer. So here we see that the input to the dynamic gain equalizer is the amplitude of a different wavelength. So this is output wavelength amplitudes from the EDFA. So here we see that the wavelength is different, and if I pass it to a dynamic gain equalizer, it will equalize the gain of the amplifier, so producing equalized wavelength amplitude. So this is how we get the equalized output of an amplifier. The example of how a DG equalizes the gain profile of a EDFA process. So here we see that the gain is different, which is due to the wavelength amplitudes which are different, but it is going to be equalized by using a dynamic gain equalizer so that we get the equalized wavelength amplitudes here. Then we have optical add or drop multiplexers. So here the signals are added or the signals are dropped by the device. The function of an optical add or drop multiplexer, that is optical add drop multiplexer OADM, is to insert or add or extract or drop one or more selected wavelengths at a designated point in an optical network. So that is the function of OADM. It can either insert or it can extract, or in simple words it is adding or dropping. So figure shows OADM configuration that has 4 input ports and 4 output ports. So this OADM device will have input and output ports. In this case, the add and drop functions are controlled by the micro electromechanical system based miniature mirrors that are activated selectively to connect the desired fiber paths. When no mirrors are activated, each incoming or a channel passes through the switch to the output port. Incoming signals can be dropped from the traffic flow by activating the appropriate mirror pair. So this is the example of adding and dropping the wavelengths with a 4x4 OADM device that uses miniature switching mirrors. So here we see that 4x4. It has got 4 input ports and 4 output ports. Here we see that 2 mirrors are being used in this OADM device, and here we see that we have add port. The signal is going to be added to this OADM device. So this is port 2A. Here we see that port 2A, and here we see that port 2D means here the signal is dropped, here the signal is added, and these are the add ports and these are the drop ports. So from this point we can add the signal to the port, and from this point we can drop a signal from the port, and this is the output port. So these 4 ports are the output ports and these 4 ports are the input ports. So we can either add or we can either drop. For example, to have the signal carried on wavelength lambda 3 entering a port 3 be dropped to a port 2D, the mirrors are activated as shown in the diagram. So earlier we saw that in the wavelength lambda 3 is entering a port 3. which can be dropped to port 2D. So D represents drop. So it is dropped via second port. Similarly, when an optical signal is dropped, another path is established simultaneously, which allows a new signal to be added from port 2A to the traffic flow. So, in one case, we saw the signal is dropped at port 2 at the drop port. Simultaneously, a new signal is added, that is from port 2A to the traffic flow. So this is additional port or add ports. So this is how the optical add drop multiplexer works in an optical communication system. Whenever the signal is dropped from one of the port, a new signal is added to another port to balance the traffic flow in the device.